Emmet Sheehan got roughed up in his latest rehab start. Do we think that's going to change the Dodgers' plan with him? I don't think so. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, and thanks to those of you who are with us live here on Thursday evening. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers, so please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. If this is your first time with us, my name is Jeff Snider. My normal co-host is Vince Samperio, but that's not Vince Samperio next to me. That's my abnormal co-host, Clint Pasillas. Vince and Clint and I are all lifelong Dodger fans, just like most of you. We've also all spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we bring you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Today, there's a lot to talk about. The Dodgers are taking on the second-place Giants this weekend. We will preview that series in the third segment, talk about the uphill battle that the Dodgers are going to have to finally score some runs for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. In the second segment, we're going to talk about position players pitching, specifically Kiké Hernandez and people melting down because the Dodgers did it. Is it bad for baseball? We'll talk about that. But first, Emmet Sheehan made what Dave Roberts had said, hinted, might be his last rehab start for Oklahoma City. It didn't go super well, Clint. I guess, first of all, Clint, thanks for hanging out with me, man.
Absolutely. I always love talking Dodger baseball with you, my man. And you know what? It's an off day, much needed off day. I am a few free bottles of beer deep, courtesy of Max Muncy and Kelly Muncy, and uncorked for a cause. Doesn't mean I'm not here to talk about Dodger baseball, though. We're going to be good.
Clint got his hat forward, so I assume he can also keep from swearing on this family-friendly show. But Emmet Sheehan started for Oklahoma City. Dave Roberts said a couple days ago that Sheehan's next rehab start would probably be his last one, and that then he would be slotted back into the Dodgers rotation. Like I said, the start didn't go super well. They wanted him to get through 4 innings. He got through 3 1/3. It took him 63 pitches to get through those 3 1/3. He gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, including 2 home runs. On the surface, that looks pretty bad. But this game was in Albuquerque. That's one thing to keep in mind. Albuquerque it's fitting that that's the Rockies AAA affiliate, because Albuquerque plays a lot like Coors Field. And so Alex Friedman, who is the Oklahoma City Comets radio broadcaster, he described one of the home runs, the 2-run homer, as an Albuquerque special. So basically a fly ball that just kept on going. But even deeper than that, Sheehan threw 63 pitches, 43 of them were strikes, and he got 15 swings and misses and had 7 strikeouts in his 3 1/3 innings. Like, I think the things you're looking for, which is adding length, getting deeper in the game, and getting swing and miss, seems like Emmet Sheehan is about ready to go.
Knocking on the door for sure. Definitely the pitch count is there. That's about where you would want him. The next start you would assume would be somewhere in the 65, probably 75 pitch mark, which would put him at these days 4 or 5 innings, which is exactly what the Dodgers need. But beyond that, the Dodgers also desperately need a starting pitcher, because they just had to move their best bullpen arm to the starting rotation because things are so dire. And when you look at who they have available in the starting rotation, the 5th starter is a bullpen game unless you go with Justin Wrobleski. So, yeah, Emmet Sheehan, it could be come on down by the time we get to 5 to 6 days from now, which I'm not upset about. I wouldn't be opposed to one more, rehab start, considering he is coming off of surgery and all that. But also, if he's going to pitch at AAA, why not also just pitch against the Padres in LA?
Yeah, and like you said, with the state of the rotation, the Dodgers want to have a 6-man rotation right now. They don't even have a 5-man rotation. And so
we're like, where are they going to fit all these pitchers in?
I still got my fingers crossed that that's going to be a problem that they have later in the season. Right now, it's definitely not the case. Clint, somebody in the chat just said that your foul territory hat to them looks like an Astros hat.
That is rude.
Pull that down a little bit more so we can see the logo a little bit better.
Is that better?
There we go. Yeah, that's much better. In fact, pull it down a little bit more. You get over the whole face, then we're good.
Yeah, listen, I got you covered here. We'll just do this there.
Perfect. That's the way we like it. No face at all. But
it's great for the audio side, by the way. Great for the audio.
Yeah, if you're listening, Clint has a hat on. That's the joke.
I put my hat on the microphone, so I'm not even needed.
Now everybody's in on that joke. But with you mentioned Justin Robleski. They have Matt Sauer. I assume Sauer's going back to the minors soon. I thought they might make some roster moves today. Didn't see anything come in yet, but depending on, they may just not have anybody they want to replace him on the roster with. But having guys like that kind of mitigates having, even if you do only expect 4 or 5 innings from Sheehan, having somebody who can piggyback and go a couple innings after that could help with that and kind of put them in a position where, it's worth it to have him over somebody who's not going to go much longer than him and probably be worse. Emmet Sheehan has really good stuff, and it's easy to forget because it's been so long, and we didn't get to see him for that long before he got hurt. He was pretty exciting to watch, and has his stuff is pretty fun to watch if you're a Dodger fan.
Yeah, he has some electric stuff, and you hope the surgery maybe gives him even more velo on the fastball. But when he's right, he does have a plus fastball. He has a couple of off-speed pitches that play well off of it, but also presumably he is a healthy starting pitcher, which is something this team needs. And I said it today on Dodgers territory. I've been kind of, as the kids say, glazing up Emmet Sheehan of late on the show in recent weeks. I like the kid. I wouldn't hang my hat on. I would not hang my hat. I wouldn't, put the family farm on Emmet Sheehan, showing up and being an ace for this team, but being somebody who is a competent arm that can go out there and get you 4 to 6 innings every 5 or 6 days. And then eventually, if guys like Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, remember him, if they show back up, he's somebody who could move into the bullpen and could be, an improvement over like a Matt Sauer, who, by the way, I think one of the reasons they didn't option Sauer down is because he's already had like 2 or 3 options this year. So they're probably being a little cautious with that. But Sheehan's role could be, in a couple of weeks, could be what Kasperius's was to open this season. That's kind of, give us some length, give us 45 pitches, maybe pitch and leverage late in the game. And that's, whatever it ends up being, it will help the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think they'd probably be more likely to shift Kasperius back to that role before Sheehan. But, if Snell and Glasnow and Roki all come back and Ohtani, well, then maybe both of those guys, Sheehan and Kasperius, end up as kind of long relievers. I kind of joked last night, why not make the whole bullpen out of Ben Kasperius, And if you've got – because, it's not going to happen because it never happens. But if the Dodgers did have everybody healthy at once, you could have a bullpen that features Emmet Sheehan and Ben Kasperius and Dustin May, guys who have length and maybe, add a couple miles an hour when they're coming in relief, knowing I'm only going 2 innings today. It could be an interesting thing.
Good problem to have, as they say.
Yeah, but it'll never happen. But, the Dodgers just hoping that 4 of these guys, the good starters, will be healthy in October. And Sheehan has the stuff to potentially be one of those guys. He'd have to pitch his way into that role and maybe even have a little bit of luck on the, not that it would be lucky for him if somebody else stayed injured, but, it may not be entirely under his control whether or not he earns a spot in the postseason rotation just because of how the roster's built. But I think we can all agree that getting Sheehan back would be good for this Dodgers team right now because whoever he bumps off the roster is somebody who's not as good as him.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I know you don't like math, but hashtag math, baby.
Yeah, you just need to have, as Monty Burns said way back in, I think it was 1992 or 1993, give me good players, living players. And that's what this Dodgers team needs, at least when it comes to the pitching staff. Didn't
Mr. Burns want Gabby Hartnett on his team originally?
I don't remember.
Or was it Gabby Street? One of the Gabbies he wanted on the team, but that's why he had to specify living players, because it turned out everybody that Mr. Burns wanted on that team was dead, and just ended up with Cy Burns Mattingly.
Yeah, and poor Sosha. Rest in peace, Mike Sosha.
Tragic illness. But you know what? Somebody else who is alive. Here's a segue. Kiké Hernandez pitched for the Dodgers the other day, and some people are unhappy about that. And I think some people need to quit whining, but also they have some decent points. We'll be back to talk about position players pitching. Good for baseball, bad for baseball. Let's talk about it.
If you're a coffee enthusiast like myself, I drink like way too much coffee every day. Firmly admit that, but it's because I love coffee, and I know a good cup of coffee when I see one, and you can get a great cup of coffee with Trade Coffee. They're the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. And they do this great thing where they personalize your coffee for you. You take like this quiz where they ask you about taste and smell and what kind of roast that you have and what kind of roast that you prefer and all this other stuff. And they build the best coffee for you. In fact, I got this bag here called Common Voice Heirloom Blend. It's got notes of strawberry and fig and brown sugar, and it's been very tasty. And right now, Trade is exclusively offering our listeners 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. That's TRADE.com/LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off your 1-month trial.
Hey, we are back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks for being an everydayer. If you are, if you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. You just watch or listen every weekday morning, and then suddenly you are an everydayer, and then you're one of our favorite people. Also, you can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Get text directly from us, have one-on-one conversations, and get access to our Discord server where we're talking Dodgers all the time. Also, while you're checking stuff out on the YouTubes, be sure to check out Clint's shows. He has 2 of them, All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas and Dodgers Territory with Clint and Alana Rizzo. So be sure to check those out. Clint has a Discord server too if you subscribe to his Patreon, but I'm not going to plug that, give him your money on your own time. This is my time.
For what it's worth, Jeff is also usually with us in the Discord, and he's always telling people how wrong they are about things. So
only when they're wrong. And I've told people, if you stop being wrong, I'll stop telling you you're wrong. It's not that hard. So speaking of people being wrong, Kiké Hernandez pitched for the Dodgers of the day. Yeah. Kiké Hernandez pitch came in the 6th inning. 6th inning, right?
That was I think the really 6th. Anyways.
Yeah, and that was because Matt Sauer couldn't get through the 6th inning. They tried to get him through, but he was at 111 pitches, which a lot of people are already convinced Dave Roberts deserves the electric chair for letting him throw 111 pitches. You threw a relief pitcher 111 pitches? No, he's a starting pitcher who was pitching him relief that day. Yeah. It was a lot.
Season high 111 pitches, which whatever. But hey, he was ready to take him down as best he could.
Yeah, he's a grown man. But yeah, they did bring in Kiké Hernandez, and Dave Roberts basically said after the game, he didn't say we punted this game, but he said we're in a good position to win a series tomorrow. And then the Dodgers went out and won the series the next day.
Yeah.
And at least some of that they had to use several relievers, and at least some of that winning the series was because they hadn't used any of their key high leverage relievers the day before because they just used Kiké Hernandez. And anyway, a lot of people are upset about that.
It was the right decision. Can it be frustrating? For sure. I keep going to the football analogy. Like if we're talking about punting, you want your team to go out there and score a touchdown with each play, but sometimes you don't make it to the end zone and you're not close enough for a field goal. So you got to punt the ball. It's called the right play sometimes. And Dave, as frustrating as it was, as much as it sucks to see Kiké entering the game in the 6th inning, it was the right call for the totality of the season, and more importantly, game 3 in that series where the Dodgers go out and win it.
Yeah. And I've heard people saying that they ought to just let teams forfeit, instead of bringing in a position player. No team would ever do that.
No.
And that would be bad. Like, you've been at games where a position player pitched. I've been at games where a position player pitched. And it's either your team is getting blown out and it adds a little bit of levity to the situation. I think about Anthony Rizzo striking out Freddie Freeman, that one time, or whatever. Or your team is winning by so much, which the Dodgers did a lot of a couple of years ago. Russell Martin kept pitching in games where the Dodgers were winning. And they should do more of that for sure.
Yeah.
But one of the things that it was actually Trevor Plouffe who was complaining about this, former big leaguer Trevor Plouffe, which is a little bit ironic because Trevor Plouffe, the one time that Kiké pitched in his career in a game that wasn't a blowout, Trevor Plouffe hit the walk-off homer off of Kiké. It was, July 24th of 2018, if I'm remembering right. And 16th inning, I think. And the Dodgers had already been through their entire bullpen, so they brought in Kiké. And he gave up a 3-run bomb to Trevor Plouffe to end the game. And so the MLB has made rules recently about when position players can pitch. But the thing that's interesting to me, Clint, and one of the things that Trevor Plouffe said was, I feel like this is happening more than ever these days. And I have issues with I feel like statements, Clint, especially things that are easy to look up. I think instead of feeling things, you should know things. I think if you feel something, you should look it up and find out if your feeling is correct or not.
But what if I feel something and I don't feel like looking it up? Isn't that what the internet's for?
That sounds like you. In this case, Trevor Plouffe's feelings weren't entirely wrong. Yeah. The two seasons in Major League history with the most position players pitching are 2022 and 2023 by a lot. And then 1901 is on here. I assume that's a weird thing. That might even be just because that's the first year. That's probably a statistical anomaly, actually, and not actually correct. So in which case, the top three are 2021, 2022, and 2023. The only seasons in which there were more than 100 position players pitching are those 3 seasons. This year, we're for about 105. But interestingly, last year, it was only 89, which is down quite a bit. In 2022, it was 160. And then in 2023, it was 138. 2022, it makes sense. They didn't implement the rules until later in the year. And we were coming off the lockout, the shortened spring training because of the lockout, all that. You know, they were being more careful with pitchers' arms. It makes sense that was a high year. Last year, though, being down again, and then this year being still down some, because, like I said, on pace for 105, which is a lot less than the 138 from 2023, which is the first full season that these restrictions were in place. It's kind of like, part of me thinks and feels that them making rules about it kind of said, okay, well, now that there's rules, now we weren't necessarily inclined to have position players pitch ever, but now that there's rules, we will. I think there's some teams that are in that boat that wouldn't have any position players pitching, except that now, here's when you can do it. Okay. You
rolled out the red carpet for them to understand, like, to steal from you for what we were talking about before hitting the go live button. Yeah, I think it was more of like a kind of unwritten rule, like a faux pas, like, maybe less a faux pas. We'll go with the unwritten rules. Like, if you have a position player pitch, you should feel embarrassed. But when there's a rule that says you can do this, well, then, you're probably going to take advantage of that rule to help not use your bullpen arms, where we're now in an era where everybody is more injury prone because everybody's throwing 110% effort with every single pitch. So it makes sense to try to use these arms, and they're not even throwing hard. I mean, we saw Kiké hump it up to 85, and that was like a big deal. But these dudes are going in there. They're not being like Drew Butera throwing 94. They're going in there just throwing a bunch of little ephus pitches and trying to get through an inning.
Except for that A's backup catcher who struck out Shohei. So,
he that was funny. And I think that's the best part. And maybe it's made it less exciting now that we're seeing so many position players pitching. But I think before, like, if you were at a game, it's like, this is kind of funny, where at least we're having fun with it. And that was like what Miggy Rowe tries to do with the windups or whatever. At least he's putting on a show. Maybe if people are watching on TV, it can be annoying, it can be frustrating, it could be like, I can't believe they're disrespecting the game.
Take this seriously.
Yeah, take it seriously. You know what? Like, I care about the next game. Now, when you get to we didn't see a position. I'm not going to go too long about a rant on this. It wasn't a position player pitching, but like getting into the whole punting idea with Honeywell, punting in the postseason. We saw where that ultimately paid off for the Dodgers in whatever game that was. I don't remember.
Game 4 was the game they punted in the World Series, and then Game 5 was the game they won to win the World Series and hold up a piece of metal. So, ultimately, like, if your team is on the winning side, so the other team, because the weird thing is I've seen Padre fans upset about this, and it's like, you just watched your favorite team blow out your least favorite team 11-1. And maybe they were upset that they didn't score more off of Kiké. Like the only runs they scored were unearned off of Kiké. Like maybe that's why they're upset. Like we got 3 cracks at Kiké Hernandez and couldn't even put runs on the board. I have a hard time figuring out why you would be upset about watching your favorite team win a blowout.
Yeah.
And if your favorite team loses the blowout, I still think you'd rather watch Kiké Hernandez pitch than them just say, okay, we give up. Let's go home. Like you're still at the baseball stadium, still get to watch baseball.
With in regards to the Padres thing, I think they're as they learn of baseball, get deeper into their now 6 years. San Diego fans, there's 6 years of baseball being a thing.
Some of them have had to wash their favorite jersey once or twice already.
Oh, thoughts and prayers to them. But I said, like, for the 20 team and the I think 22 team. The 20 and the 21 team, it felt a lot like what we as Dodgers fans went through like 13, 14, 15, 16, even into 17. It's like the team learned how to win, but also we learned how to like be fans in the modern Twitter era or whatever. And now we're at this point where where if everything isn't perfect, Dodgers fans just complain about everything. Well, now Padres fans, they're seeing their team win, but it's not a good enough win because Kiké disrespected them by going out there and pitching or whatever. So I guess hats off to Padres fans for finally catching up to the rest of the league.
And finding something to be upset about at all times. Our buddy Richie Flores, he says fans who made the drive and spent all that money may feel differently. And for me, I think the thing you're upset about if you made the drive and spent the money is that your team got blown out. Like you're not upset that Kiké Hernandez pitched. You're upset that you drove to San Diego and spent a lot of money and then the Dodgers got beat badly. Yeah. And so and that sucks. But also it's better than in the NBA where they just would have not played some of their guys. Like they punt pregame in the NBA. At least in this one, they waited until they're losing, and it doesn't make sense to chase a win in that situation. And
I think they should implement some banana ball rules in there when it gets out of hand late in the game. If there's a foul ball and a fan catches it, it could be an out. Just get through the rest of the game. That maybe that'll be entertaining for fans or something like that. Obviously,
I guess if they called the game and just went to something more fun. Okay, all right, this game's over. Let's do a home run derby for
home run derby, or they play over the line or something. It would be.
Roll out the tarps and spray some water and let them Rick Dempsey it. Go play a water slide on the tarps.
Explain that one for the kids, huh?
How about that?
How about that? By the way, I do want to go back to one of the things about Plouffe, and then I'll let you take back over your own show here. But his lone career walk-off homer was off of Kiké Hernandez in 2018.
Congratulations to Trevor Plouffe. You know what? I listened to that game on the radio, and I was happy it went 16 innings because I had a long drive going on, so it filled up a lot of my road trip. Didn't care much for the way it ended, but Dodgers ended up in the World Series that year, so
worked out ultimately. So to the question on the screen, though, is it bad for baseball? I don't think it's bad. I think I would like to see something different or better. I think it could be more fun, but it's not bad.
And it's definitely no worse for baseball than it was a week ago or than it was before Kiké Hernandez wore the pitcher's helmet out there. Like I think people just are viscerally react to Kiké being weird, and that's credit to Kiké. He can make people upset about a lot of things. So
Kiké puts butts in the seats, or he is an absolute engagement driver. I've gotten a few followers just talking Kiké in the past.
Yep. All right. So I guess that's all we're going to say about this. I'm just putting Mark's comment up there. I'm not going to talk about it though. But
presented without context.
The Dodgers take on the Giants this weekend.
Finally,
Giants had a chance to be tied for first place, but they blew a game to the Rockies. But still, second place, only a game out of first place. What can we expect from this series? I think the Dodgers are going to have a pretty darn good series. We'll talk about it next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, NBA finals are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And winning big is even easier with FanDuel if you're new, because if you place your first $5 bet and it wins, you will get $200 in bonus bets. Imagine what you could do with that. Maybe you want to pick something easy for your first $5 bet, like say the Rockies losing a game. Put $5 on the Rockies to lose. If they lose, boom, $200 in bonus bets. Then you could do something really fun, like put it on the Dodgers to win the World Series. Or if you're into the NBA Finals, even though the Pacers are up 2-1, the Thunder is still minus 230 favorites. Pacers are at plus 190, meaning if you put your $200 in bonus bets on the Pacers to win the finals, and they do, that's $380 you just won. How easy is that? Just because you got your first $5 bet right and got your $200 bonus bet. So it's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hey, we're back. Thanks again for being here with us live. If you are, thanks for being every day, or if you are, we're live most evenings, Sunday through Thursday nights. Thanks again to my buddy Clint Pasillas for being here with me. Be sure to check out his shows, All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas and Dodgers Territory with Clint and Alana Rizzo. For your second listen, be sure to check out Locked on MLB, hosted by our buddy Paul Francis Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. And be sure to go be on the podcast and become a Locked on Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. All right, little shorter segment here at the end, Clint. We are just talking about this upcoming series with the Dodgers versus the Giants. It's crazy that it's mid-June and the Dodgers and Giants are finally playing for the first time, right after playing the Padres for the first time. A little stretch going into the Padres series, the Padres were in second place, and leaving the Padres series, the Padres were in third place. Now the Giants are in second place, and the Dodgers have a chance to beat them down a little bit. The Padres go to play the D-backs. So if the Dodgers can take care of business, the D-backs have a decent chance. Dodgers could put a little distance into the National League West this weekend if they play their cards right.
Yeah, and they kind of need to. And luckily, heading into this series, you feel a little bit better about the pitchers the Dodgers have lined up, because in that last series, it was Robleski, Dustin May in a bullpen game. I think May was in there. It didn't feel great. But to open the series with Yamamoto on the bump, you always feel good about that. Coming back home to Dodger Stadium is going to feel good. Kershaw coming off his best start of the year going in game 2. And then Dustin May, he continues to be around. The fact that he's pitching, we should be happy for him. We need him to kind of start stepping up, because the Giants, they have some good pitchers they're rolling out as well with Logan Webb. And entering the day today here on Thursday, I did note earlier today in Dodgers Territory, they're second in MLB in team ERA at 3.09, and they had the top bullpen ERA at 2.42. Of course, they lost the game against the Rockies today on a walk-off, but it feels like it's lining up to be a pretty good series. I'm giving the edge of the Dodgers, though.
Yeah, especially this first game. Yamamoto against Logan Webb. Logan Webb is always a very good pitcher. He has the best FIP in the National League this year. He actually is striking guys out. He has the best strikeout per 9 and strikeout percentage of his career this year, which is kind of interesting. I haven't looked closely at his game logs. I don't know if he's just faced more strikeout-prone teams. But
hasn't faced the Dodgers yet.
Yeah, hasn't faced the Dodgers. I'm looking at his highest strikeout games. He had 10 against the Reds, 12 against the Angels, 10 against the Tigers, 10 against the Braves. Kind of a mixed bag. Tigers are a good team. Braves,
good team. Strikeout prone team as well. I mean, every team is these days. They're just showing out for power.
But yeah, so it's kind of interesting that he is striking out so many more guys. It's not going to help the perception, which is based on reality, that the Dodgers don't score much when Yoshinobu Yamamoto is on the mound, that he has to go up against the guy with the best FIP in the National League. Hopefully they can buck both of those trends. And I'm looking to see who's scored runs off of Webb this year. The Padres put up 5 in 5 innings against Webb. That was his worst game of the season. So if the Dodgers could do that, I think they and Yamamoto would all be happy.
Yeah, need to put some points on the board. Would like to see Ohtani get off of his it hasn't really necessarily been like a crazy slide. It's just he hasn't been, much of a factor in run production, as at least as much as we saw him in the month of May. So to get him going, to get some show pop going again, get home cooking, all that kind of stuff, I think that really does help the team out. Hopefully the Teoscar homer is a sign of things to come, because you need your run producers to do something for this team. That's been
produce
the
runs.
biggest bugaboo. Yeah, that's been the biggest bugaboo with this team struggling to score runs, is that their guys who usually do the job aren't doing the job.
And we were talking about that in the Insiders Discord today, about how funny it is that Shohei Ohtani is literally has an 8-game hitting streak, and yet you can genuinely say he's slumping. Part of that is because of the extremely high standards he set for himself, but also the last 6 games he's had exactly 1 hit, and in those 6 games he's batting .240 with like a 780 OPS, which is fine.
What's the strikeout numbers? Because it feels, I'm going with feel, I'm throwing the numbers at you, the work at you, but it feels like dude's striking out a bunch.
It does feel like let's see. So strikeouts in so he had 3 straight games with no strikeouts, but so in the month of June, he's only at 1 homer in June after hitting 1,000 in May. But in these 11 games in June, he has 12 strikeouts, and he's batting .250 with a 729 OPS. Those numbers. I think all of that is .250 and 729 are both higher than Max Muncy's season numbers, for example. But by Shohei Ohtani standards, he's struggled this month. And so it would definitely be nice to see him get a 3-hit game, including a home run, something to say, look, I'm still here. I'm still Shohei Ohtani. And just because it's June doesn't mean I can't hit anymore.
I also just became alerted to the fact that my mic was switched to the wrong mic. So thank you, Richie, for telling us 30 minutes into the show.
Yeah, thanks, Richie. Yeah. I thought you didn't sound as good as usual, but I assumed it was just you.
No, I was apparently talking into a camera and microphone that's above me, but that is
you definitely sound better now. Yeah,
I would imagine I sound better with my professional microphone set up there. But either way,
sorry for the audio issues, everybody. June is traditionally Shohei Ohtani's best month of the season, and so
still plenty of June left. Let's turn it back on.
I feel good about him breaking out. Dodgers going to win this series.
I said at the end of DT today, sweep, and one of the things we should feel, I know we're already going long, so this will be my last thing. Logan Webb against the Dodgers in his career, not great, 4.11 ERA. I think that's it's definitely one of the worst against teams that he has faced in his career, and at Dodger Stadium, not all that great as well. 3.89 ERA. So hopefully Dodgers take advantage, give Yama some run support.
You set the tone, win this first game, just like we talked about in the Padres series. You win the first one, it's a lot easier to win the series because you only got to win one of the next 2. #math, baby. I know Clint loves the math, so we're going to end on that. Thanks again, Clint, for hanging out with me here on this Thursday night. This will do it for us for this week. Sunday night, I don't know if I will be live with Vince or not because I will be driving to Omaha for a baseball tournament for my son, and I don't know what time. Making the whole drive on Sunday. It's like a 13-hour drive, so I don't know if I'll be there, but one way or the other, we'll have a show for you. So be sure to check that out. We are with you live every weekday morning, or live every Sunday through Thursday night most of the time. Always available for you every weekday morning on YouTube, wherever you get podcasts. Obviously, if you subscribe, wherever you're watching and listening right now, that makes it easier to find us. You can also check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel and wherever you get podcasts. It covers every game with the Locked On hosts from each team talking about them. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSense91. Clint is on Twitter at RealFRG. I'm on Twitter at Snydog. All of our DMs are open there. You can also email us, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message at 323-863-LOCK5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us when you get in your car or sit on your couch. Tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
Bye.